Amigos.
316.
Either side of my tracks is fine.
It's gonna be the best run of our lives.
Let's go right here. You ready, my man?
I was just listening for
Okay, we're going.
yes,
DCP.
boys. I didn't hear it. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Start your red
Game time.
All right. Vamos.
Vamos.
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome to the Tribute Lounge. I'm Shane Johnson, and today I'm here with living legend DCP. David, thanks so much for coming, man. This is another really exciting pro visits, we're calling these. And the idea around this is going to be, a deep dive discussion with somebody that obviously is designing, is riding, has a rich history in snowboarding going back to my favorite part, Back in Black. When you guys started with the Uninked crew and that, make sure you go watch that. Back in Black, it's on YouTube, you'll find it, but David's part in that is insane. And then you evolve, into, yes, snowboards, which is dear to us. We picked it up from day one up at Tribute, and similar story to us too. We got booted out of the shop we all worked for, and we started our own thing. David, you did the same. So again, man, thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it. And we want to start with what you ride. When you go into the season, you're going into 2023. This season, you just came back from Baldface.
Yep.
These two boards behind me.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, and
of course.
Thank you for watching this. And yes, I had a great trip to Baldface with some of my dearest friends and co-workers, and this has been awesome. Very lucky, fortunate. I do ride mostly. My go-to is usually the new Uninked Pick Your Line DCP. I go with the 55. It's a little bit wider of a board than the last Pick Your Line that we were designed. It's a new shape, so it's a little wider, so I can ride it a little shorter. So usually I do like a 59 in the Pick Your Line, so I go 55.
Interesting.
I've been really liking that, like with the hybrid that we have, I even ride at 53 because it's wider. But basically, this is a very good mix between the old Pick Your Line and the hybrid that I was riding a lot of the last couple of seasons, because it's in between the width, right? It also has the technology called tapered underbite, which dips a side cut 800, 700, and 600.
I was asking David a lot about this because it's, instead of one giant side cut into a narrow tail, this actually is going to give you more volume, right? This is going to keep you a bit more stable, more volume, but it's probably going to carve a lot better too than one cut side cut into a skinny old tail.
Yeah, totally. And it's the concept of taper, right? So like it's just really good for free riding and to be able to control your turns and your approach into things. And with this, because we're not pinching in your side cut by tapering your board, by narrowing your tail versus your nose, we're actually using 3 different side cut to make it taper down the bite. And it just makes it more grippy, like on top of a line that's on consistent snow going into the powder, or even just on the resort carving for side hits, or just all that. It just feels so good. Like for me, I love carving. So it's I need to have a board that's going to do it. I can't just slide turns.
Well, and you get added stability, obviously. It's going to give you these zones where right at the underbite, you're going to have teeth, essentially. That's
exactly.
And that's going to power in. I was also asking you earlier how this tail, so we'll put the amount of taper up above us unless you remember exactly how much taper it is, but it looks to me to be about, you know, probably 10 mils taper, maybe a little more. But that'll go up above as we research
Yeah,
it.
let's check on that.
But this tail is very unique. So current pick your line, which we sold out so fast, David, it was crazy.
yeah.
Like that board, you know, the graphics, the treatment you did, it was a conversation piece in store, but it was just a beautiful snowboard to ride.
Yeah, I mean, the board is designed to ride BC terrain. I'm not surprised that it was a popular one
Oh
here.
yeah, oh yeah.
And the graphic was truly a very good inspiration from the current space I was in, and to be able to like bring in the coreless windows that we did with the chakras and the nose with you know.
Take the cell phone behind it and show
Yeah.
everybody that, and it was.
Yeah, so that
cool.
was fun. So,
So
then
this tail is now.
so the tail is just like last year's in a new shape. It's a coreless window here as well, but it also kind of emulates this like, you know, swallowtail shape somewhat. So it does have a little bit of play, a little bit of, you know, looseness to it. Though we do keep good landing gear, some material here, so that you don't wash out and you do have good pop for jumps. And,
Exactly.
but it does feel a little surfy, like even more little surfy. So I think it's like, for me, my style of riding is like, it's like surfy freestyle. I like to jump, but I also really like to turn, and so, but I can't, you know, compromise landing something because I want a swallowtail, though I like that feel. It's surfy.
Well, you are a great surfer. Your heel side turn is one of my favorites too. That's another accolade. You watch a guy's heel side, you surf the same way as you snowboard, and you've got a powerful heel side turn. So this thing will have that little bit of a twist to it that Fozzie and I sometimes talk about, where you can whip your tail around. And you can see David do it in the Balance movie quite a bit. You see from surfing to snow, you know, the balance, you know, between your two styles. You see it there. So I can imagine this tail is going to give you that bit of a whipper out of those
Right.
turns too, right?
Well, yeah, and also on that last trip I just was at, actually a couple of my friends were asking, like, what are you gonna do to like really lay down the turn? You know, it's
twist,
like,
right?
but also something that a lot of people might not know. It's all about the bottom turn before that heel side turn. So that quick little toe approach. It's like surfing. You can't do a heel side turn if you're not bottom turning.
Exactly, and thinking ahead of
Yeah.
that approach too, right?
Yeah.
A very good friend we used to ride with, he always said he would think 5 turns ahead, and I rode with him a ton at Baldface, and that was his thing. He could always see 5 turns ahead, and that's a really cool point to make. Another key on this board, as with all of David's boards the last few years, has been artwork. You have been crushing it. Everybody you work with has just brought something so unique to the table. Where did this artwork come from?
Well, like, thank you. I appreciate that you like in the graphics. It always tells a story, and also it tells a relationship and an emotion. Feel like last year I was working with Mark Wilczuk, who's a dear friend, and we were able to really showcase my current state of mind and where I was at, and being in the jungle, and just kind of aligning myself. And then this year, I worked with Pip, a guy I met in Costa Rica. He's from the UK. He's a tattoo artist. And so I injured my ankle and then my neck last year. So it was a kind of hard recovery year.
Yeah.
And I just I was offered by my friend some tattooing at his house. I was like, we can hang out, I'll tattoo you. And, you know, he's a great artist.
We'll show a bit of that ink because it's fantastic.
And so, like, talking to him, you know, spending a few hours with him, and I just wanted him involved. And so this graphic is him. That's his style of painting. So, like, this represents the mom whale, the baby whale, the mom turtle, and the little baby turtles. They represent a rebirth, or like a birth, or you know, a new beginning.
Especially recovering from injuries like that, David. That was,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
like
heavy,
it's kind of a little bit of a reminder that, you know, there is rebirth. You know,
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
constant flow and a constant circle, and feel very actually grateful that I'm just back riding. Like it didn't really happen, but this represents just a new chance, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. And you were saying this year, with this, you're still going to have the chakra coming through the nose,
Yeah,
like last year's
yeah,
board.
exactly. This is just a sample that came early, so I could ride
I love
it.
that that's continuing. I think that tells a story
Yeah,
for us at
totally.
retail, and it's a way for the consumer to engage with, you know, your ideas and things like that a little bit more than just, you know, top sheet graphic. It's quite cool.
Yeah, so yeah, and then we got some sacred geometry here for like the connection with the universe, and yeah, I really like the graphics, and it's fun for me, and it reminds me of my friend and the time spent with him and with in Costa Rica last year.
Tattoo
So
work is incredible, what you
Yeah.
showed me. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. So another thing we like to do on the channel, David, is discuss, we're big on stance angles, stance
Okay.
widths. We want to have that discussion with everybody. So when you're riding the pick your line, what angles are you jumping on this with most of the time?
So like I'm always pretty much on any board same angle.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really change. So I'm essentially 15 out in the front, -6 in the back.
Interesting. Yeah.
Sometimes -9 if it goes there, and you know, I don't see the difference much between -6 and -9, but I'm a little bit duck stance, and I'm usually 23.5 and a little bit like on the reference, but with the disc spin the other way so that I can slide back a little bit.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'9",
5'9", yeah.
if we're gonna speak in feet.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know, it's one of the few times
It's like,
we do.
oh, this is a
Inches and feet, yeah.
155 centimeter. I'm gonna be jumping up a 30-foot jump with it.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9".
Yeah, but David wrote a lot of half pipe back in the day too. If you do go back and watch Back in Black and things like that, you know, we were all riding wider stances. So 23.5 doesn't surprise me, although that's wide for guys our height. I've started to narrow down, and we've had all sorts of discussions going posy, 0 and 21 to 30 and +9. I've been doing even a bit for carving, mind you, which is what I want to try on this board. I think that's going to be really cool with the 2 stages of underbite, tapered underbite like that. I think that'll be aggressive and powerful with that. So you don't change your stance. Let's talk about the other board, because this is your primary.
Primary, yeah.
But then the 420, I'm sure you took that out at Baldface.
So then, so I rode my go-to boards a couple days. I had a third board with me, and I lent to a friend who was absolutely in love with it. Killed it. He's gonna buy it. But yeah, I did. I always, you know, on a powder trip, on powder days, I like the 420. This one's the 420 PH, powder hull.
Yeah.
PH is for powder
So let's
hull.
start there. Let's explain the powder hull, because this came out how many years ago now with Yes?
That to be like almost 10 years ago now,
Yeah.
9 years ago. We started with the 420 powder hull and 2020, which was a twin freestyle powder board. But the powder hull is this curve here on the nose and tail, which essentially it's an entry for the snow to come and lift the nose and exit on the tail fast and then sink the tail. So it really helps with the float. You don't have to think about it. And honestly, like I've been riding the pick your line all year mostly, just getting used to it and really loving it. And then yesterday was my first day riding this one, but it was prime conditions. Like I'm switching.
Yeah, yeah.
And I forgot how much I love it. It's insane. Like it's so playful, like with the hull, and it's wider, you know, and it's got really like a surfy shape. That thing just like, you just go on a side hill and just up and down, and it's just very surfy.
I rode the 2020 a fair bit, and it would, when you got cooking on that, it would actually make a sound, because you're generating air volume under it, and you'd hear this almost, it is so freaking cool.
Yeah,
So
and it actually stomps really good. Like it's like,
well, wide, obviously,
Yeah.
big platform based on the 420, which
Yeah.
is probably one of your best-selling boards.
yeah.
And the addition of the powder hull to this is fantastic.
Yeah.
When choosing another conversation is the Quiver. Obviously, you have a Quiver,
Yeah.
and we've got the other board Morrison will bring over shortly.
Yeah.
So obviously you chose this. It got deep at Baldface. It was puke and snow. You guys
Yeah.
timed it perfectly. They were very lucky. They rolled in 3 days ago. It was spring.
Yeah, total spring. 12 degrees at Whitewater.
Fly up there and
Started snowing right away. We called cat number 2 the karma cat because we figured collectively we probably have the karma to make it happen.
that's awesome.
Because it was looking like we were going to have a good time farming for crust and snow on the north facing, but we were so lucky.
That's awesome. So this is a very good reason to have a quiver. I mean, it's you're going to get those POW days that, although that is going to crush pretty much every condition, this is just going to give you so many more advantages.
Yeah.
Especially in deep snow. And like you say, stomping landings. We've got more volume underfoot, which I really like. And then the added powder hull, keeping you up, tail down. Taper on this guy we'll put up above, but fairly tapered snowboard again.
Yeah,
The
totally.
420.
And it's a camber board. This one is, so it works really good on the resort as well on those days where you're just going to be carving the slope and then hoping to get some powder runs as well. Like that's actually a really perfect board for that because it works as a carving board, but when the snow is there, it just transforms itself into this magical,
Absolutely, David.
magical surf craft.
And now on the end here we have the bindings. These are also, is that the first collab coming out next year? Or?
No, that's probably round 3 now.
Round 3?
With Yes. And now, this is the Now Select binding with the Yes Hunting collaboration. And why is it Select? It's because there's a selection of options. You can switch this strap around for stiffer or less stiff.
Oh, that's cool.
Just a little bit of an adjustment there. You can also, wear this strap on your toes or above, right, old school style like I do.
Oh, you're still riding it up top like that?
I do.
That's
I
cool.
once in
I
a while I'm
often
like,
do as
I'm gonna
well.
try the toes, and then I was like, I don't know. It's just I like the moving toes and the
cool.
down on top. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kept it old school there.
No, that's really cool.
This one's a little bit canted too, which is pretty fun.
Cool. That's another discussion we have a lot on the show is canting. Everybody's asking about canting. Risers again. Now is unique because it's not based on a riser, but of course, we've got different durometers here that you can add. So I've seen some guys for the inside run the softs,
Oh yeah.
hard on the outside, and then you get a little bit of a pseudo cant that way. And I mean, we're talking millimeters,
Yeah.
but it's doing something. It is.
Absolutely.
And these are one of the most adjustable, adaptable binding systems out there. Really high heel cup too, which I love about these because I've actually been able to run them without a front high back in a deep POW day, just to loosen up. When you're surfing, this is what I was going to ask you actually when you were talking about your stance. I jump on a surfboard, my front foot's usually 35 degrees.
Okay.
But when you surf, do you find you're a little bit tighter? You're closer to 21 or even 15?
If I go surf in the ocean, everybody tells me, "Oh, you're a snowboarder, aren't you?"
Oh, so you are.
Because it seems like I'm, like snowboarding stance. I pop up, I'm used to it. But I've learned over the years, over the last couple of years, spending a lot of time there.
Open up a little bit?
Yeah, to really open up and especially your back foot, I put it in. I'm not duck really surfing. When I pop up, I want to be, and then I adjust because you're not strapped, right? And then you start seeing down the line more. You get more power when you have that stance, more parallel.
Yeah.
It's different.
Do you run forward lean on these bindings?
I'll ride forward lean, not always, but say I'll ride something that requires it, or like a bank slalom, or I know I'm riding park and going through some pipe or whatever. But if I just free ride, I don't. I usually just run it as they come out of the box.
Yeah. No, that makes
Pretty much.
sense. We find that with most guys we talk to is people aren't riding very much forward lean.
I used to a lot in pipe days, because
That's what
you
it was
wanted to
invented for, yeah.
roll up to the backside wall with the right angle to go as big
Those
as you
knees
can.
needed to be bent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have one more board David takes in his quiver. We'll throw these over, grab that.
These bindings too come with that little tiny heel cup that you're referring to. So that's part of the reason why it's called a Select. There's all those options, and you can put a little tiny heel cup to ride POW with.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. It's just being able to open up the front leg and actually being able to straight knee when you go heel side it's a great feeling. But you need deep snow. It's not, you're not jumping out there. If it's variable conditions, you're going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
But if it's deep and and
So
you got
you
the
know
right
that
board,
feeling, yeah.
yeah, no, it's exactly, and that, crossed over to surfing again. You know,
It brings it back full circle again, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And we had this opportunity to work with extraordinary shaper, John Peisel, who shapes for John and Nathan Florence and some of our most,
this is really
favorite
cool.
surfers. And so John wanted to design a board. He likes snowboarding. And so he approached us, and we were way more thrilled than he was probably to just collaborate with him. And so, this was kind of the collaborations brought for, our love to make the best board we can, and his love to shape the best board he can in surfing. And so, he really wanted something. And so he created this, unique shape, which has got, a tapered mid-bite. It's a different outline
Yeah, you see
than the unink PQ line, but it's also new, creates a similar style. But this one is like a twin directional, so it's more of a twin shape. Though it's because of the profile, it also works really good. It's kind of wide. This one's a 55 wide, and I ride that one.
What's your foot size?
Size 9.
Size 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar there too.
Yeah, so I tend to like wider, shorter board nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're seeing a lot of that, absolutely. Again, you can get on edge better. We love to carve. You got a wider board. You're not worried about booting out, heel, anything like that. And no, this shape looks like, again, like the pick your line. I can see the underbite here. How much taper we'll put up top, but there's not a ton of taper on this one, hey? This is...
Yeah, it's a little tapered, so it's like this whole section is a little wider than this whole section.
Yep.
But it's separated by our outline, which is the tapered mid-bite. So between your leg, your feet is dented, so you get that edge control there.
Very cool.
Then it comes back. So it's not like the pick your line where it's 3 different ones and it tapers. This one is tapered because it's less wide of a tail, but it is more of a twin setup the way that the outline is.
So you'd be able to land fakie on this.
Oh yeah,
no
this
concerns with that.
That's full freestyle board.
Yep.
Of anything, but it lands really well in POW, and it's snowboards designed by surfers, so they have in mind they want to carve it up, slash it up.
This is going to crush a bank slalom. I mean, something.
That's really nice. Yeah, I think we already got those are already out for sale for early release. So some of the guys in the shops also been riding them in bank slalom and
Good.
loving it.
And this will be coming out in our shop. And
It's coming out in September, yeah.
Yep. As with all the boards we've showed you, yeah. All right, David, the other thing we like to talk, our audience is just always trying to get better, ride better. When you approach a new setup, when you've, say, redesigned the pick your line or this, you strap the bindings on. What are key things you're looking for in a snowboard? What performance things do you need, when you go out riding, average day riding, resort riding like most of us are doing?
Well, for me, I guess the key thing is it needs to carve. I like to engage in edge to edge. I'm from a pipe background. And coming from Quebec, we're on ice, so edging is important to me. So for me, a board I was gonna be able to to lay down and just hold and then just fully arc without skipping. That's
Have
what
that
I look
confidence
for. Yeah.
in a board. Yeah.
I really like that. Whether it's camrock or full camber, it doesn't really matter. I like both. But I think the outline that we have, that we're offering just creates that I can trust it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like to come in full speed on something and not trust that I can hold the edge and start skipping and blowing out. That's the worst for me. I can't do that.
And I agree with you there. I think that's the first thing I look for is the shape of the board, that you are going to have confidence in that side cut, clean front entry of the side cut gives you stability. So, and that's the thing I love about the Pick Your Line. That entry side cut is just stable, powerful, and it's been one of my favorite boards in your line for a long time because of that. This thing is fantastic there.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think I like the width. Like I was saying earlier, I like to ride shorter, wider boards now, and the width for me is just like this. It just the stomp.
Because I remember when you rode a 59 or 60 even was common for you.
Yeah, like custom X60 or uninked. The uninked Burton was this 160.
160 was what you were known for. Gigi was the 57, and then it went down to JP and Romain.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. And again, this was a 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been talking about that a lot too, you know, volume of the snowboard, but we are getting shorter, but we are getting wider. So this is still going to have the volume of, say, even a 57 or 58, because we've got a lot of nose up front, an older 57 or 58. And so in POW, you can get a little shorter. It's not a full shifted volume, but a Freeride board that's going to give you quicker initiation of turn, but a little bit more packaged platform, basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we, on our website, we created a chart with the measurement in dm squared, decimeter square.
I love that.
So it's essentially, you know, what is your board in width and in length? Like, what's the volume of it?
Yep.
So this 55 unink has 41.7 dm square. It's probably comparable to the 159 regular Pick Your Line. You know, but all those numbers are on the chart, so you can compare, like, okay, what sizes? If I'm riding a basic 64, can I go down to a 420-52? Yep, absolutely, because it's the same volume.
You're looking at the volume, which comes from surfing.
Yeah.
When we buy our surfboards, we're often speaking in volume too. And I do think it's an excellent movement for snowboarding to get to that. You know, so we are thinking, and okay, exactly what you said. You shouldn't be afraid of that 52 when you've been riding a 5.7 all the time, because you're actually dealing with the same surface area underfoot. All right, David, so to wrap it up, you know, Yes is a brand, like I said, we picked it up day one. You know, you guys, the Unink crew, we had followed you through all of your careers. For those that don't know, you know, a ton about Yes, maybe give us the brand philosophy. You know, where is Yes looking going forward? I know you guys are one of the most, you know, Freeride oriented companies, in my opinion. You know, when I think, okay, I'm going to smash POW, I'm going to be, you know, in aggressive terrain, I'm thinking Yes Snowboards. I'm usually, because of your accolades, because of, you know, you look at Romain did. You know, the lineup of humans in the company is pretty wild. So, you know, moving forward and today, you know, brand philosophy, where is Yes today?
So I'd say Yes is kind of a brotherhood. You know, obviously the owners are friends. We've been friends for over 25 years. And we've snowboarded a lot together. We've experienced so much. We've grown. We've learned. We've done so much. So this, I'd say, Yes, at the base is a brotherhood, and we're bringing in everybody else that's involved in Yes in this brotherhood and the community of snowboarding. That's right. So it's like all of sisterhood, brotherhood, however we want to call it. Everybody's invited. So Yes is mostly that, and it's based out of passion and out of, we want to have as much fun, but we also want to be able to provide a tool for people to have as much fun as they can. So the brand's philosophy is like, keep progressing in board development and keep it fun with the graphic and the projects and you know, the attitude, because we're there for the fun and we're snowboarders and we're learning, but we're there essentially to inspire snowboarding and people to go out and do it. And I would say, where are we going in the future? We want to keep inspiring people to get out, snowboard. You know, we want people to take their family with them, take their friends with them, and this is just our big lifestyle. Like snowboarding is, and Yes, is more than a sport, it's a movement.
Absolutely.
And it's a positive movement, and we believe that, you know, we are very lucky and grateful to be in this position to be able to influence people, But at the end, it's very simple. It's just like, remember why you started snowboarding, and that's exactly what Yes is.
Well, David, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, man. I
Thank
love
you.
being a part of the Yes family. Tribute, like I said, we've been with you guys since day one, and you know, we're in for good too. So
Well, thanks for your support, always.
of course.
Amazing.
So look for these boards coming in September, and they'll be on the website, tributeboardshop.com. You can also check out Yes's website, which is
Yes, snowboard.com.
perfect. And again, thanks for following. See you guys soon.